Shortly after 11 a.m. on March 20th, 2017, Richard Satchwell brought his pets to the post office to, as he would later put it, keep things looking normal after he had killed his wife of 25 years, illustrating, the prosecution said, just how cunning and conniving he was. Less than an hour earlier, the truck driver had emailed an organisation from whom the couple had been trying to buy 2 marmoset monkeys, ensuring his trial would hear he had a digital footprint to later rely on. By the time Richard Satchwell went to Tina's relatives to ask if they had seen her before he reported her missing, Tina's body had been placed in a freezer in their shed. The trial in the Central Criminal Court heard how Satchwell continued to spin a web of deceit over the coming months and years. He introduced a narrative of depression surrounding his wife. He painted a picture of a dedicated, devoted husband and claimed she had subjected him to violence, describing her on one occasion as a street angel house devil. His interviews and media appeals, where he sobbed and begged Tina to come home, were full of guile, the prosecution said. His story held firm, even when told crime scene investigators were about to dig under the very location where Tina's body was buried. When her remains were discovered, his narrative changed and he claimed self-defence. Satchwell claimed his wife pounced on him with a chisel and went limp on top of him as he held her off with the belt of her dressing gown. He refused to look at crime scene pictures and said, "I want to remember Tina the way she was, not the way I made her." When investigators told him his story didn't add up, he insisted he had no reason to lie because he would be pleading guilty and the matter wouldn't go to trial. 19 months later, he would sit in a courtroom before a jury of 7 women and 5 men denying murder. Sarah Howard broke down in the witness box as she recalled Richard offering her the very freezer he used to store her cousin's remains. The prosecution didn't have to prove a motive, but told the jury they might find it relevant that Richard Satchwell himself said Tina was threatening to leave him and felt she had wasted 28 years of her life on him. Her half-sister described the defendant as controlling, obsessive and odd, and said Tina had confided in her that she couldn't get away from her husband.
One day, my wife is going to turn back up, or she's going to get in touch with the Gardaí. One way or another, this will all come out, and in time it'll all prove that I've done nothing wrong.
From the start, Richard Satchwell was happy to speak to the press about his wife Tina.
She's my life. You know, I'd lie down on the road and let a car roll over me to protect her. That's how much she means to me.
He reported her missing to the Gardaí in March of 2017, and between then and when he was arrested in 2023, he gave numerous interviews to journalists, saying he believed she was alive and denying any involvement in her supposed disappearance.
I've been with my wife 28 years. In them 28 years, I've never ever lifted a finger to her. I was brought up in a home where there was no... Yeah, there was arguments between my mother and father, obviously, but there was never any violence. And that's what I always intended to, and always will for the rest of my life intend for my wife. A good, quiet, loving marriage and nothing else. I'm innocent. I'm innocent of any wrongdoing.
Tina and Richard Satchwell were married for 25 years and lived with their dogs in a house on Grattan Street in Youghal. When Richard reported her missing, he claimed she left their home with 2 suitcases and €26,000 in cash. A major Garda investigation ensued and the house was searched. Subsequent searches carried out at the Quays in Youghal and Woodlands in Castlemartyr. Nothing was found.
I have never once, in nearly 30 years of being together, laid a finger on her. The most I've ever done to her is having a tight cuddle, loving the bones off her. And there's nobody out there can seriously contradict me on that one. I would never lay a finger on her.
In October 2023, the investigation was upgraded to murder. Human remains found at the couple's house in Youghal. The body confirmed as that of 45-year-old Tina Satchwell, wrapped in black plastic sheeting and buried 64 centimetres under the stairs in the sitting room. New concrete poured, which alerted the Gardaí. Richard Satchwell was arrested and charged with his wife's murder. Aisling na Coistela, Virgin Media News.